expat who's been living in Korea for a while, at least ever since Singles Inferno began. And so today I will be talking about Singles Inferno 4 and the real reason why I'm not a big fan of Jong Deo. This past season was a little bit boring in my opinion, and I didn't really like many of the contestants. That's probably why I found it boring, especially on the men's side. I was really uninterested. I am really surprised to be making a video about this in April because so much of the hype around the show has died down by now, but people keep commenting on my video about why I don't like him. So I'm going to address that. Because I was just kind of joking around in the video, like the way that, you joke around when you talk about reality TV, like it's all kind of trash, And Theo posting a video of Kanye on his Instagram is not the reason I don't like him. It's a symptom of the reason why I don't like him. So some people accuse me of hate. And before I get really into it, I want to explain why that kind of video and this kind of video is not really hate. So, reminder that hate is a very strong word. And what Kanye actually does and says about Jewish people and other minorities is actually hate spreading hatred, and gossiping about a reality TV show is very commonplace, I think. Maybe people who watch Singles Inferno aren't used to this, but gossiping and making fun of reality TV is just commonplace for people, like normal people like me and everyone else, and it's not hate. And I definitely don't approve of Theo, but I also don't hate him. I just disapprove him and don't really care for him and wouldn't pick him on the show. So yeah, I don't hate him. Theo reminds me and is like a lot of the mostly white guys that I went to high school with. Particularly ones who didn't have very good self-esteem but had a lot of self-confidence. And from the beginning, when he saw just the other guys, he tried to act tough and cool. I mean, he famously greeted them by saying, "Yo." So, that's not a standard greeting amongst even just guys in South Korea. Even guys who are into hip-hop, I don't think greet each other by yo. So yeah, I think he was trying to be tough when he saw those guys. So his first thing is trying to be tough and cool, and you can see it in his interview as well. And then I saw him suddenly try to be so nice and kind of sappy around the girls or girl that he liked, to try to win her over. And I felt like I felt like he was very aware that he was being filmed, and he was trying to play to the female gaze, especially because he just picked one girl, and when she kind of rejected him and he had no chance, he kept going for it because he's playing to the female gaze of that very loyalty, and he wanted to seem very nice and be perceived as what girls like, I think. It all seemed very calculated to me, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he slid into the other contestants' DMs right after the show wrapped filming, especially if he had slid into Eugen's DMs or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised at all because he wasn't being watched anymore. And that reminds me of this just group of guys that I knew in high school. They weren't quite full-on losers, but they also weren't cool, and that's just what he reminds me of. But they were always trying so hard to be cool. And just like these guys I knew in high school, he also pretends to know a lot about hip-hop. In his case, he particularly acts like he knows a lot about American hip-hop, which I thought was interesting because Korea does have its own hip-hop scene, which I think it's just as good. I think it's also good. But I mean, yeah, he greeted them by going, "Yo," which Like, the casual greeting is definitely more commonplace in America. So, you know, he's pretending to be like very into the American hip hop scene, or he's trying to be, which reminds me again of these guys I knew in high school. He basically he's basically acting like them word for word, action for action. And disclaimer, I always check all of the contestants' Instagrams who are on the show, because I like to see how they act on their Instagrams versus the show. Sometimes it matches up, like Halem, sometimes it doesn't. Like, Halem was very desperate for male attention, and her Instagram showed me the same thing. The girl from last season, who was from Busan, she's very, very insecure, and you can see that on her Instagram too. So yeah. Another reason he reminds me of these particularly YT guys that I knew from high school was because he's like very into hip hop, but his main hip hop people, like the only people he's posted were Eminem and Kanye, which is like the whitest thing that you could do. Yeah, it just reminds me of like exactly how these guys act. And he also posts videos of them not even rapping or doing something musical, but talking about some random ASS stuff and typing, it's like captioned with something like genius or eye-opening or inspiring. But I think here's a big problem as well, not even related to him reminding me of these guys with low self-esteem but high confidence, is from my high school. It's in 2024, we have like an Instagram etiquette. We have things that everybody knows, right? Like, we have like the grid, and I think to dedicate a space on your grid to somebody is to say, I am aligning with that person. I'm reaching out to that person, especially when they're tagged in it. And yeah, I never post, personally, I never post anybody who's not myself on my grid, not myself or like my friends on my grid. I've never even posted a celebrity. But yeah, to post somebody is saying you really align with that person. So doing so without knowing if that person is a Yahtzee with an N or accused of domestic violence is really immature and careless. So he's showing he might be immature and careless, which is not a good thing for a partner, for a potential partner, right? Or it means that he knows and doesn't care. Or it means that he knows and agrees. To me, it's lose, lose, lose. There's like real no way to justify it. And again, it reminds me of these annoying guys I knew from my high school who most of them knew but didn't care. A lot of people fall into that I know but I don't care category. And on the same note, I want to mention that recently, it was around the same time that this happened, that I posted this video. Some famous reporter in Korea, some actress reporter lady, family supported like the alt-right movement in Japan, which is like the rising sun flag people, and she had to publicly denounce them, which is of course like the right thing to do in that situation. Always. I would do the same. I would denounce my family members if they were doing that. But yeah, so even she had to do that, and I think you can't just say you don't care because it didn't happen to your people. So I'm saying it's the same. It's the same as if he was supporting somebody with rising sun, except like he's supporting the other people on that side. Additionally, Eminem is kind of like a reformed misogynist. I'm not that up to date, but much of his older stuff is a little bit scary. My friends told me about it. I've never been like that into it, him, But I think like there were songs about his wife that were scary, and he said his biggest nightmare was when his daughter was dating a boy who was a fan of his work. And I think that's also what caused him to become like a reformed misogynist, maybe. Um, but yeah, like, you know, he even himself admitted to being kind of abusive in his relationships. So, yeah, I mean, nowadays Eminem is probably better than the previous Eminem, but I think that he's posting like the old Eminem stuff, and I think it's all very, very again, you're dedicating a space on your grid to that person, and you didn't choose carefully. Now, here's the worst thing that's less debatable. Now, Kanye in 2024 is not like reformed anything. He's just as bad as ever. And some of his early work is still celebrated by people I know who are my friends. But the clip posted was not from his early work. Plus, we know that his relationship with his now separated wife was very controlling, a little bit scary. He's using her for money, and we know very similar but different with Kim K. I don't like her, but we know there was a lot of controlling and kind of inappropriate like behavior in their relationship. And now that they're divorced, it's as bad as ever. So I'm gonna say there are better, fuller videos about him. This video is not about him. So there are better, fuller videos by especially female Black content creators who have been fans of him for a long time, and have a different perspective than me, and they've done a much better job of diving into it. And because I don't want to make my video about all of that, I would recommend you to watch those videos if you're curious about what I'm talking about when I say that he is a Yazzie with an N, or he's controlling or abusive in his relationships. But I will also add that he has basically been a public enemy for like several years now, and it's not a secret. Now, let's get on to some more of my thoughts on Singles Inferno 4. So, everyone kept acting, especially at the end, like Yujin was some kind of like really old, like hag lady, like some kind of ajuma, and I felt like she was still younger than the guy she was going on dates with, if I'm not incorrect, or the same age. And then they just treated her like she was so old, but I felt like she looked just as young as the other girls, and she behaved in a very fun way. That's a very like, I felt like her personality was youthful in a good way. She had a lot of energy, and she was so funny. She was like on the swing. They made her look like crazy, or they're like, is that a witch or something? I don't remember. Like, I thought it was so funny. She's on the swing, like sobering up, I guess. But when the other girl did it, it wasn't considered like silly or whatever. Anyway, when the guy with the wolf face was, I can't remember his name. I'll put a picture. When the guy with the wolf face was like swimming towards Xian, Eugene was just like, no, she's my princess. I thought that was so funny. Also, when they were trying to push each other off, I thought she was really funny. I thought the other girl was the other popular girl. I put her picture here. She was really funny because she tried to tickle her, but it didn't work. Yeah, so those are like my favorite moments. I love Yujin. I liked the girls for the most part. I wasn't a big fan of Haylin, but then I think she got a little better as it went on. But her saying she's willing to kidnap the other guy was kind of annoying, because, you know, consent goes both ways. He was, yeah, she's very flirtatious, but she's, you know, he's like, I'm tying myself down to somebody else. So I felt she was a little bit out of pocket. She was a little out of line right there with that wanting to kidnap you. And he's like, I don't really want you to kidnap me. And she was like, I'm gonna kidnap you anyway. I really liked Yujin, but she got some attention right away, and then didn't get attention like once the guys realized she was like their same age, or like matured, I guess. Like she had like a job, I guess. I don't know what the deal was. Um but yeah, I felt like people online didn't give Yujin enough attention for my opinion. I think her face is so cute and like lovable as well. Um then there was another popular girl who everybody said didn't get enough attention. The one that Dex liked. And I agree with that. She was also very cute and sweet and funny, and she deserved so much better. And that's where I'll go to. I never understand what the guys on Singles Inferno are doing. Like I can never understand them, and partly it's my international beauty standard versus Korean beauty standard, of course, plays into it. But I never understand like what the guys are doing. I think, oh, who was it? In the previous season, there was a girl who I thought was really pretty. And then like the people on Instagram hated her. So I'm like, again, it's all like everybody has their different opinion, which is why we gossip about it. It's a reality TV show. And my favorite guy was the guy who's the accountant. I didn't learn the guy's name, so I'm gonna put his picture here. He was the most handsome and best dressed and least weird. He wasn't trying to do some weird like sappy stuff like somebody else. He wasn't trying to be cool. He wasn't mean to the girls. The wolf-faced guy was really mean to all of the girls. And he wanted girls to be upfront with him, but he wasn't being upfront with them. Like he was not upfront with Yujin, and that's part of the reason why I think she just got slighted so badly, like in this season. Like why wasn't he upfront with her if he says he likes being upfront and he's not upfront with people? And he's like, well, that's just the way I am. And you cannot have open communication. I misspoke. And the other guy who was vying for Xian's interest, the one who kind of looked like the actor from the TV show Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, I can't remember his name. I put his picture here too. They kind of look the same. They gave me the same vibe. But then he was like, I'm a very conservative guy. I don't like when my girls have had too many partners, is basically like what he was saying. Or yeah. And something about that bothered me because I'm like, well, like this is a dating show. This is not like you're meeting somebody at like a blind date. Like she's gonna talk to all of the guys. He's like, I don't want her talking to other guys. And then of course if they had been together, then he would have seen that she had that bed scene with the wolf-faced guy where nothing happened. I feel like he was also pushing her more than I felt like there was a lack of consent in that scene, I'm not gonna lie, on his part. And I felt a little bit bad for her, but I think she's okay. I know, yeah. I mean, I guess some Korean people were saying she was like gross and stuff. But that guy was like, oh yeah, I'm very conservative. So he would see that and then get like so angry at her. So of course she can't choose him after that. And all she did was maybe like kiss him like just like a peck or something like that. I don't think they were making out. I don't think they were even like, I think they were just not doing anything. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they were doing anything. But yeah, best guy was the accountant guy. He's most handsome. I feel like he could be a little bit stuck up because he's like probably rich and probably came from fairly well off family. But yeah, and he ended up with Aren, although she blew him off originally. And so I would have liked to see him go with somebody who didn't blow him off first. But maybe he thought she was so pretty, so yeah. So lastly, I saw videos, especially on the American plastic surgeon influencer side, where people are just now discovering some of the cosmetic work that some of the contestants on the show had done, especially Aren, who looks very different. But I thought all of the work that all of the girls had done looked nice. I thought they all looked good this season. Nobody really seemed to have gone too far. Where I think in past season, the Kim Gyuri is like on her way to becoming a Gangnam, especially if she's not careful. But yeah, I think one of the most common things that all of the contestants get is veneers or like teeth laminates. I think many of the guys will get them just before the show once they get accepted onto the show, where I think the girls have had them done for a long time because they've already gone on like beauty pageants. Um, so you'll notice the girls seem more comfortable with them and the guys get them done right before the show, especially for like the looks maxing, which is like a male thing. Um, it's like dental work is like a big part of that for guys, like looks maxing. I'm not getting a deep dive into that either, but a lot of guys are big into like dental work. That's just such a weird sentence, but yeah. And you can see that the people who more recently had their veneers, especially some of the guys, have been like nervous. Especially I noticed like when they started adding raw carrots to the TV show, the guys seem nervous, but the girls are like, I'm fine. I know what I can eat. Like I know my veneers won't pop off. But the guys are very nervous because like maybe they just had their veneers put in, finished putting in their veneers. So I did notice that, and I think the nervousness about eating carrots is not about the taste because they eat cooked carrots. It's about the crunchiness of the raw carrots. You notice like they always talk about like, why are we eating raw carrots? Raw carrots? And I'm just like, that's not weird. Like people eat raw carrots all the time. But I think it's actually they're worried their veneers will pop off and that they'll keep it in the show. I think. Yeah. Definitely the girls have had them longer because most of the contestants have been in the beauty pageants and they've been in the modeling space for a long time, so they've gotten them done like ages ago and they're more comfortable eating carrots usually. But yeah, if you see a contestant who's nervous to eat raw carrots or something crunchy on the show and you see another contestant who's like comfortable, it's like, oh yeah, they just got their veneers and they've had them for a long time. And most of the contestants, I think, have had some dental work or veneers done. Some of them might have like some kind of invisible braces too that make them nervous to eat the carrots. I noticed this pattern particularly in like more recent seasons as well. I think also, yeah, if there's some people who are completely refusing to eat the carrots, you know they just got it done and they're not comfortable knowing what they can and can't eat yet, and they don't want to be embarrassed on TV. Yeah, but I didn't think it was about taste. I thought it was all about laminates or veneers and dental work. But yeah, I would like to see all of your hot takes about Singles Inferno in the comments. And who your favorite people were. I bet you also didn't care about the guys this season, just like me. I wasn't into any of the guys. Except for the accountant guy. I approved of him. For me, with the guys, because I have a boyfriend, so for me it's like approve or disapprove. I approve of the accountant guy. I didn't approve of any of the other guys for like various reasons. So I'd love to see your hot takes and your unpopular opinions or popular opinions about the show in the comment section. And feel free to like the video and subscribe if you made it to this point of watching the video. Thank you, and bye.